The big question is, why didn't Chopin, the brilliant young composer, write for the opera, an art form that he clearly adored?
It's very clear that little by little he recognizes that the circumstances have changed. First of all, the fall of the November uprising meant that even in Poland, national opera could not be performed. The fact that he did settle in Paris and did not return to Poland meant that he would be writing a Polish language opera in France, which was meaningless and futile. But perhaps also his inclination, his natural inclination towards the piano. This was the medium that he was the most comfortable in. So I think in some way what he did is he channeled opera-like narratives into his larger works. They become miniature operas.
When Chopin arrived in Paris, aged 21, he had already composed a substantial body of extraordinary music. Within a year, he was a fashionable celebrity, not just for his composition, but also for his mesmerizing and uniquely delicate style of playing.
It was a wonderful atmosphere because Chopin played, and some say that he played at midnight, for instance, the Nocturne. Can you imagine the Nocturne at midnight? And it was an enchantment, really. It was an enchantment because it was private. The music was for yourself. And the people in the salon were very happy. They're very confident in being the only ones to hear. It was a privilege.
The poet Théophile Gautier wrote, "Chopin stands for a melancholic elegance, a dreamy charm, a female sensitivity. Touched with his fingers, the keys seem to be brushed by an angel's wing." Instead of writing for the opera house, Chopin's theatre was the salon, the intimate, sophisticated world in which the aristocracy and the artistic community intermingled. It was for this audience that throughout the 1830s and 40s, he produced a prolific range of concise, poetic piano music, mazurkas, waltzes, atmospheric nocturnes, and electrifying studies. Occasionally, he also found time to compose songs, usually as gifts for society ladies. One of these ladies was a young Polish countess. Her name was Delfina Potocka. She was not only Polish, she was beautiful, wealthy, and clearly a wonderful singer. She was one of the very first of Chopin's Parisian friends, and remained close to him right up to his death. This lake at Enghien, a few miles north of Paris, has often been associated with a possible romance between them.
During that period, she was leading a very liberated lifestyle, separated from her husband and having scandalous affairs with famous people.
The nature of the relationship between Chopin and Potocka has been the source of endless speculation and gossip. One of the most intriguing rumors is that during the summer of 1836, Chopin stayed in a villa that Delfina had rented by this lake. A year later, Chopin was passing Enghien with a Polish friend who described in his diary how Chopin had turned my attention to the wide lake and on its edge the little villa in which he had spent the previous summer. His face became suffused with the pleasantness of the memory. It must have been a very happy period of his life. The story was revived again as recently as the 1940s, when a mysterious bundle of semi-pornographic letters, alleged correspondence between Chopin and Potocka, was discovered by one of Potocka's descendants. The letters horrified scholars, mostly because of what was seen as the un-Chopin-like bedroom language. The letters were dismissed as forgeries, but then tragically the relative committed suicide, and the letters disappeared. However, the debate about their authenticity still rumbles on.
What interests me about the relationship between Chopin and Delfina is not the possibility of a love affair between them. In my opinion, it's quite likely that it never happened. On the contrary, what I'm much more interested to know is that she put words on one of the last nocturnes of Chopin, which she played in front of him, and which he found, and I quote his words, "Ça se chantait bien." It sang itself well. I think that the fact that they shared the same musical ideals is so much more interesting than a love affair.
Marie-Paul Rambaud's reluctance to accept the idea of a Chopin-Potocka love affair is based on the simple lack of evidence. The shortage of information about this or other parts of Chopin's romantic life has generated a long-running debate about his sexuality.